Imagine the mind of a prince, carrying all of his royal memories and royal consciousness, leaves his body and enters the body of a cobbler. When the cobbler wakes up, who is he? In 1689, the philosopher John Locke argued that the resulting man would be the prince. Locke defined a person as a thinking being that tracks its identity through consciousness. This psychological continuity theory is the unquestioned baseline of our era. It dictates how cognitive science models the self and forms the ethical foundation of modern medicine. The physical particles making up a human body are in a state of constant flux. Because cells die and are replaced while memories persist, Locke formally separated the identity of the person from the biological identity of the human animal. Because of this centuries-old framework, our deepest ontological intuition is that our physical bodies are merely disposable vessels. We assume we are psychological entities temporarily occupying biological machines. The philosophical framework, known as animalism, rejects this consensus entirely, forcing a pivot from psychology back to biology. This formula represents the core thesis of animalism. Each of us is exactly and exclusively a biological organism. Animalism denies material constitution. A human animal doesn't merely constitute a person, like marble constitutes a statue. You are the animal itself. This rules out several competing frameworks. We are not immaterial egos, not bundles of mental states, and not brains driving meat suits. Embracing numerical identity requires abandoning the idea of an enduring psychological self. It grounds our entire existence in biological reality. The philosopher Erik Olson formalized a syllogism known as the thinking animal argument. It is a logical proof designed to show the necessity of biological identity. Premise 1. A living human animal is currently sitting in your chair. Premise 2. This human animal is capable of processing information. It is thinking. Premise 3. You are the thinking being currently sitting in that chair. The conclusion is that you are numerically identical to the human animal. Rejecting this conclusion leads to the too many thinkers paradox. If you and the animal are different, you must admit there are two distinct thinking entities occupying the exact same physical space. This creates deep linguistic confusion. When the voice in the chair says the word I, it is unclear whether the person is speaking or the animal. If both are conscious and thinking the same thoughts, you have no way to determine which entity you actually are. The animalist model resolves this contradiction by reducing the thinkers in the chair to one. By accepting numerical identity, the person and the animal are revealed to be the same individual. This argument reveals a flaw in Locke's ontology, his treatment of person as a sortal. A sortal dictates an entity's core persistence conditions. For us, that baseline is the biological human animal. Animalists define person instead as a phase sortal, a temporary classification based on capacities, like being a fetus or a teenager. Consider a locomotor. An organism becomes one by acquiring the physical capacity to move. Losing it changes what the organism can do, but doesn't end its existence. Similarly, an organism becomes a person around age 2 by acquiring self-consciousness and rationality. This changes the criteria for your survival. You continue to exist as long as your biological metabolism persists, regardless of whether your memories or personality remain. You exist as a human animal from conception until death. Personhood is a functional stage you enter and exit during that biological span, meaning you existed before your consciousness began and can survive its destruction. This framework is tested by transfer objections, thought experiments that appeal to our intuitions about science fiction. In a cerebrum transplant, the brain, responsible for thought and memory, is relocated from animal A into animal B. Lockean intuition tracks the transplanted brain, assuming you wake up in the new body. Animalism disagrees. You remain the biological organism left behind on the table. This divorces our survival from the survival of our memories. It suggests that identity is tethered to the biological organism, not the contents of the mind. This leads to Mark Johnston's remnant person problem. Consider that cerebrum while it is mid-operation, removed from the body and sustained in a vat. If this isolated brain supports consciousness, it might be considered a person. Animalists then face the question of how a new person can be brought into existence simply by cutting away surrounding tissue. Conversely, if that brain is later implanted into a new body, the animalist must explain how a person can be destroyed simply by being supplied with new sustaining life support tissues. The choice remains: follow Locke's psychological path and address the multiplication of thinkers, or align with animalism and accept your essence is biological, not mental. Both paths require us to reconsider what we mean when we say, I.